Hi, Sandra here from Create in Spain, and today I want to show you how to construct this type of box card. It folds flat for postage and then pops up to reveal the design inside. Here's another one that I have which has got some gingerbread men, some snowflakes and a couple of Christmas trees. And on this one I've also put some decor panels and some silver decorations on the outside of the box. And I'm thinking on this one I would go for a sentiment like have a gingerbread Christmas or something like that, something just very fun. And on this one I think I might put peace, love and joy. It's more sort of slightly more religiously looking card, I suppose, simply because it's got a church on it. But anyway, those are two little ideas that I have. But I want to show you the general process of making one of these cards. Now, first of all, let me talk about the card that you need to choose to make the base. This is 200 GSM. It is way too thin. Don't even try it with this because it doesn't have the strength to stand up. So no, not a good idea. This is 350 GSM, which is a very similar weight actually to what is supposed to be the 250 that this card here, the black and white dots, is. Cards seem to vary. I mean, it says it's 350 and it's a nice good weight for a card base, but whether it's 350 for a different manufacturer, I really wouldn't know. Now, I've got the card base cut out, and when it came to the scoring, although the file that I created had the score lines included, I decided not to score them on my silver bullet. The reason, because I wanted to basically use a tool like this to do the scoring, and although I've got one which I can put in my bullet and do the lines, I wanted to be very sure of how much pressure was being put on it. And I could have experimented, but it was just as easy just to do this by hand. So I knew where the score lines had to be and I just put them in myself and then folded over. Now I'm just going to go over these folds with a bone folder. It's always a good idea. What I don't recommend is that you do the scoring with a blade, not even at a light pressure. It puts too much stress on the corners and you're likely to end up with a broken card at some point, particularly if it goes to a child who's like to put it up, put it down, put it up, put it down continuously. The top pieces here have also been scored where they have to be folded, so I will just go along and fold those back too. And just give the crease a good press. There we go. So now we have our card base ready to start with. Now, you can do a straightforward box card and do what I'm going to do, which is just use plain straps. And I'm using plain straps for this one because it's going to be a demonstration card and I really don't know what I'm going to use it for at the end of the day. So if I put plain straps on, I can then decorate it as I wish. Whereas these straps have been pre-made by me to have the elements already in them. So basically I've made compound paths or unionized the paths in the case of shortcuts a lot, and I have put the elements in. Now it's worth noting that if you do something like this design that has a background piece in it, make sure you know where your basic strip ends and your design begins. And then what you need to do is to cut into the score line and up so that you take out the edges. And then when you put them in, you match up the edges with the top of the box as normal, and then your various design comes above. The other thing with this is, as you may or may not be able to see in this light, I don't know if you can, this is glitter card. And with glitter card, you've got to be careful how you stick it. Glitter surfaces don't generally adhere very well to anything else. No matter what glue you're using, they don't tend to adhere that well. And so for glitter card, what I've done, instead of putting the straps so that they face towards the back, like so, I've put the straps so they face forward. And that means that it's the plain backing that is glued to the sides and not the glittered surface. So it's worth thinking about before you stick your contents in. Now, the other thing that I wanted to do on mine is to add a snap mechanism that basically, when the card comes out of an envelope, it pops it open. Okay, so I wanted to add one of those. Now, not all pop-up cards have those. A lot of people make them like this one and it just doesn't have one and you just open it up. But there is a certain amount of flexibility in this, whereas that stays as it should be when it's open. And this obviously can move around a bit more. So what I want to do is to put my mechanism in place. And the file for this is very, very simple. There are a couple of score lines to be folded, but not too much. And just fold that one over. There we go. Now what you do is you close this bit up and you fold that up. And you want to slide this one into the one which has got the 3 pieces. And you want to make sure that the, get it around the right way. You want to make sure that the slits are on the same side when you actually do it. Okay. And you want to then turn it around so that the slits face the bottom edge of the card. Now you notice on here I've got a couple of crosses marked, and this is because it is a lot easier to put this in place when it is flat than it is to put it in place afterwards. Now what you would normally do is use a strong glue, and you will line up the base of the strap with the bottom of the card, and you line up the fold there with the fold of the card. Now, because I'm short of time here in a video, I'm going to use a stapler. I'm going to cheat somewhat. Staple, oops, that didn't go through. Try and staple this thing down. And the reason is, if you try and do this in a hurry and you then, I've run out of staples now. Where have I? No, I haven't. It's just not moving along for some strange reason. Get days like this when things just don't quite... No, it's... Okay, I'm not going to staple it. That's not going to work. Okay, I'm going to have to rely on glue, which probably means this card is not... Well, the strap will not stay in place, I suspect. It tends to need a bit of time for drying off to get the strap in place and for it not to actually come away when stress is put on it. Alright, there we go. So basically line it up with the fold, then fold it over like so, and the other one can simply be pulled out and it lines up with this one here. Now because you put it in flat, it just makes it a lot easier to construct. Okay, there we go. And there is a reason why I do it first as well. Now it can just go flat like that, just don't worry about it. Just give it some time to dry. Now, if you're going to put a decor panel on the inside at the back, like this one, now is the time to do it. And I would normally suggest that you use a double-sided adhesive or something like that. But because I find actually using a double-sided adhesive quite difficult when I'm trying to film, I'm going to cheat at the moment and just put some glue on here. But this is not going to yield the best result. Sometimes you can get some wrinkling and things like that. On this one here, I ended up putting a bit too much glue and I didn't notice it until it had dried and it wrinkled. But I will be covering that up with something else. The advantage of doing it with glue, if you're quick enough, no, that's dried quickly, is that you can line it up better, and I've not lined that up very well. But it's the inside of the card and I'm only going to see that bit, so I can get away with it. Now I want to put some decor panels on the outside as well. I don't want to put one on the back of the tall panel because that's where you would write a greeting. But I do want to put some on here. So I'm just going to get my very small glue bottle. I decant this from larger bottles. It just makes application a lot easier. Okay, there we go. And put these on. Hopefully by the time I've got the rest of the bits on, the mechanism will have dried enough so that it won't actually come apart when I get it finished. She says hopefully. So there is, I mean, it's not difficult to put these cards together, but there is a knack in knowing what order to do things in order to get the best results. And again, it's a lot easier to put panels squarely on a card if the card is flat, rather than doing it when the card is finished and is three-dimensional. It's a lot easier. Especially like me, if you happen to have a habit of misaligning things. I don't know why, because I'm pretty good spatially, but when it comes to getting things centered on cards, I do tend to have a little bit of an issue. Right, okay, that will do. I quite like the effect that you get when you put panels on the outside, because you get the white corners and then you get the coloured bits as well. Okay, now if you do have doubts whether your card is thick enough to stand up to wear and tear, cut thin strips of card, thin card like this, and glue them down the edges after you've scored them. And then when you fold them, they'll just have a little bit of extra oomph to them. Now you can see that that card can fold diagonally, like so. Now what I should have done, ideally, is put it so that there was a little flap for the side tab to go under and not stuck the back on it. But I just didn't think of it at the time. But I should have done that. Okay. Now, the other thing that we can do is we can actually put these straps on one side before we actually put the card together. Now this is going to be a back and this is going to be a side. And so if I put some glue on some of this strap here, not too much. Too much glue is worse than not enough. And I'm going to put it back about a centimetre from the front. There we go. That's that one. And do the same with the next one. Going to put that one just about there, I think. And the last one. Now these could obviously have designs on them already, but mine don't, simply for demonstration purposes, mine don't. And that one I'm going to put quite near to the back of the card. There we go. Now you notice that they all sort of follow on from each other, and this is really quite handy because what happens is when they are closed up, they will go to the other edge like so. There we go. They will go along like that, and then you can obviously have your back, the back end of the card is then closed. Okay, so what I want to do is to put my glue on this piece. Looks like I need to recharge my bottle here. It's getting a little empty. Come on, out. Here we go. So, take that side and match it up, and try and make sure that you don't have glue all over your fingers when you do this, because you can so easily make the outside of the card untidy, but that's fine. These can be folded down, and in fact I should have had 3 of these, and for some reason I only have 2. I'm probably missing one of those on the floor somewhere. I had the fan going earlier, and I suspect that it's blown it onto the floor. It's probably under my desk somewhere, but it does give you an idea of what it looks like when it's done. Okay, let's get some more glue out of here. No, I think that one's had it for the time being. Let me get a different one. This is actually a clear varnish. It works really well as a glue. So that one goes across like so. And if you happen to have them, tweezers like that are very handy to put up from the base and to grab your items to make them stay put. Again, don't use too much glue. Too much glue makes it difficult because it takes longer to dry. There we go, that's that one. And fine tip applicators are brilliant. These actually came from a vaping shop, would you believe? It's amazing the places I end up going for craft supplies. And can I put the top on? It would help if I was putting it around the right way. There we go. So there we have the basic card frame with its insert. And if you fold it flat, there we go, you can see that everything is in position where it should be. And this piece at the bottom, even if you don't actually finish it off, this piece at the bottom acts as an extra support and is really quite good from that point of view. But to finish it off, what you need to do is to take an elastic band and put it between the slots, and you end up with a spring on the base of your card. So flat in the envelope and pop up. Flat, pop up. There we go. That's how it works. So now all you do is put some, I got some dry adhesive here, maybe that will work well enough to put these bits on. I have a sinking feeling my dry adhesive thing is not going to last very long. There we go, so I've got one there. I seem to have a problem with these. I seem to get an issue with them. Maybe it's me, I don't know. I do not have much luck with those, I really don't. Right, okay. I'll put some of that on. As I said, I would have had one on the front, but I think it's gone walkie somewhere. There, that will have to do for the moment. So there we are, that's the sequence of events for making up a box card. And I will give you the basic file for this version. I can't give you the file for all this because this is courtesy of Sure Cuts A Lot, so that came from their library, so I don't feel happy giving you that. But I can at least give you the base file. And there we go, it pops up. Alright, thanks for watching, take care now.